Welcome into the fourth episode, everybody, of Coffee with Cal in partnership with Custom Bite. It's a glorious morning because we're all back together once again. This partnership with Custom Bite has made magnificent strides and allow us to be here once more. I'm Jordan Cornette with ESPN. I help Coach Cal annually with his basketball fantasy experience. And as an extension of the fantasy experience, I'm incredibly excited to enjoy my coffee with all of you, and especially Coach Cal this Monday morning and every Monday morning for the next 17 weeks. So let's get to the guy in charge of things right here. Coach Cal, how you feeling this Monday morning?
I'm good. My beard's still gray. You haven't seen a barber in a while either, but we won't go that way. But I'm doing fine. I'm just every day trying to stay structured, trying to stay focused, doing Zoom calls with my team. We got to just keep marching. We're one day closer to a vaccine. We're one day closer to better treatment. They're throwing new drugs out there. We're going to get through this. We just got to keep marching.
I appreciate you taking shots. I mean, not a lot of people can just grow a beard like you and thrive during this quarantine. I'm like the rest of us trying to figure it out, Coach.
Yeah, but your hair's crooked too. There's a crookedness to it.
Well, maybe
but that's okay. If you stand like that, it looks straight. Do that again. Now you got a straight haircut. Okay.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Calipari Foundation because that is on point. With the help of Coffee with Cal, they've been able to generate donations. Get ready for this. Butting up close to $1 million to charities helping with COVID-19 relief. It's incredible. Some of these charities include No Kid Hungry, Feeding America, World Central Kitchen, Blessings in a Backpack, and Feed the Front Line, along with Fayette County Schools.
Fayette County Schools.
You know what? I'm not a Kentucky guy. I didn't work on that one.
That's okay. You're
Fayette
good.
County Schools.
Yeah, you're a Notre Dame graduate. You struggle reading, but that's okay. Keep going.
Can't read, bad haircut. I don't know what I'm doing here, Coach, but what we do know is we're doing great things in relief. But, Coach, as magnificent as you are, you can't do it alone. You've got some great friends out there. Ellen obviously steers you in the right direction. But
she doesn't. She's no part of this, but go ahead.
Partnership with a longtime friend of yours, Walt Lunsford, who I know you'd like to introduce and tell him how he's been able to help.
Well, Walt, you got the beard, so none of us even recognize Walt, but I like that you're gray like me. We both got the gray beard going. Walt Lunsford was one of the first people that stepped up when we went to him and said, this is the fantasy experience, the vision that I have and where I want to take this and how we want to raise money for charity. I went to Walt. He said, I'm in. He bought a team. He named coaches. He drafted players. Who were some of the coaches, Walt?
Butch Carter, John Robick, Jerry Wayne's,
Wainwright.
Wainwright twice. And with that, we haven't won. We had some great players.
What about me? I coached for you.
You did, Coach.
We didn't win?
No.
We didn't win my fantasy experience, and you picked me. And
yeah.
Did you pick the team? Name some players. You had some good players.
We had Jason Taylor, who was probably one of the best players to come through the league. But
right.
We just couldn't pull it off, Coach.
You had Danny Feldstein. You had who else? Chris Arrington.
Yep, Chris Arrington.
But you've never won. But you know what's great about you? You come back every year. We're giving to charity. We're doing some fun things together. And you know what? The best thing with this camp is the relationships that we created, all of us, whether it be the coaches, the players, the owners, the sponsors. We all get together and we try to do good. So, Walt, I want to thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you in August, September, whenever we're putting on the fantasy experience.
Coach, I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to it. And there we go.
We'll have some fun together, Walt.
We will. Thank you a lot.
Thanks.
Another Monday morning, another incredible guest. That's what we do here at Coffee with Cal. That's what Coach Cal actually does. I'm just along for the ride. And we got a great guest for today. He's a Minnesota native. Played college football at the University of Pitt, where he was dominant. He won the Walter Camp Award, the Blitnikoff Award, and was a unanimous All-American runner-up for that Heisman Trophy. And it did not stop there. Drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in 2004. And to this day, is the greatest Cardinal to ever put on that jersey. He's a class act. He's a future Hall of Famer. The list goes on and on. Coach, tell us a little bit more about this man and who we've got today.
There's one thing that sets him apart from me. One, he's from Pittsburgh. I don't care, this Minnesota stuff. He is from Pittsburgh. But the biggest thing, Walter Payton, Man of the Year. You're talking about not only one of the best to master his craft to the level that he's done ever, but a good human being, a good person. We're going to talk about some of his golf because who he's golfed with. And when you figure out, you mean you got to play with this guy and you got to play with that guy and you got to play. He is a great person aside from what he's done on the football field.
Coach,
Larry,
I think we're ready. I think you set the table. Let's talk to Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry, he's an NBA owner now. Do you own a piece of an NBA team?
Yes, sir. I've been with the Suns now for a little bit over a year, but I've been a huge hoops fan for a very, very long time. My dad, being a journalist in sports business growing up in Minneapolis, I got a chance to be around basketball all the time as a little ball boy for the Timberwolves, rebound for these names you might not even remember, like Sidney Lowe and Pooh Richardson and Spencer Felton Spencer and these guys like that, and Thurl Bailey, and those are the guys that I came up growing up idolizing and watching, and wanting to be like. And so basketball was always a fixture in my family.
So how did this get a piece of the Suns go? I mean, did they approach you? You approached them? How did that play out?
Well, the principal owner, his name is Robert Sarver, and I've been very close with him for a long time. He's one of my closest friends and mentors. And a few years ago, we talked about it just casually about the opportunity to be a minority owner. I thought it was more like, tongue in cheek initially, because, like things like that just don't happen. And he brought it up again, and, he said, I would love to have you a part of the group. And, I was elated. I was honored. It's a tremendous opportunity because it just doesn't happen that often. And especially, not having like the expertise, per se in it, but, he wanted me to be a part of it. And, I'm just really happy now get a chance to go see the draft workouts and get a chance to evaluate the players and see the analytics and go to the games and, talk to some of the players, like Book. Me and Book have gotten really close over the years, spent a lot of time together, so those type of things have, been parts of the aspects I really enjoyed.
Well, you've mentored a couple of my guys. I mean, Carl Towns, I know, speaks highly of you, and Devin, what you've done with him. And for me, you understand, when you do something for one of mine, you're part of our family now. If there's any way I can do stuff for you. But Devin, how talented. I mean, people don't realize how young he is. He was in the All-Star game. I mean, I went up because he was in it and Bam was in it. I wanted to see those guys and spend time watching those guys. And Anthony Davis was in it. I don't know if you have any relationship with Anthony, but when you start talking Devin, plus you must have really counseled him. Kendall Jenner, they tell me he was on a date with Kendall. What is that? What is that? I mean,
I stay out of the personal affairs. I stay out of the personal affairs. Devin, from the first day he got to Phoenix, I reached out and wanted to introduce myself to him, and he's made of the right things. Melvin and his mother, they've done an unbelievable job of nurturing him. And the thing that I really, really love about Devin is his mentality. I mean, there's a game that I remember going to probably 3 or 4 years ago. We were playing Oklahoma City Thunder, and Russell Westbrook was coming to town, and he was on the verge. He had tied Oscar Robertson for the most triple doubles in a game. And I remember it was getting down to the end of the game, and Devin wasn't initially guarding him, but Russell needed I think he needed 2 more rebounds and another assist in the fourth quarter, and Book just shut it down. Like he was not going to allow him to do that on his home court. And that really just stood out to me as a competitor, to see a young guy with that type of tenacity and the wherewithal to understand that, that's not going to happen. It's going to happen, but it's not going to happen tonight, and it's not going to happen on my watch. And I was completely sold after seeing that, and then getting to know him as a young person and seeing how intrinsically motivated he is to be great. Last year he should have made the All-Star team. This
Should have.
year he made the All-Star team because of an injury, which shouldn't even happen. He's been playing well enough to be an All-Star without anybody having to ask him to be a part of it. I love what he stands for. I love what he's about, and we're so fortunate to have him here, Coach.
And Monty's done a great job with him, by the way.
Yeah.
He's done coaching him and really coaching him up. Miss Veronica's mom, great lady, kind person. And I coached his father, Melvin. I coached him in a summer when I went to recruit him. True story. I go to recruit him. I go to Moss Point, Mississippi, in a gym that must be 100 degrees. And he's playing against his father and a bunch of his father's friends. So you could, his father's older now, could still play, still competitive. Yeah. So I'm watching, but I don't recognize Melvin. I hadn't seen him in 20 some years. So we go in and he says, Coach, I don't know if you remember me. And I went, well, you played at Missouri. I knew he played at Missouri. I had coached at Kansas. And he said, yeah, but you coached me. And I go, where? He said, in the Buckler Challenge, we went over to Europe. I said, you're right. And I said, did you have fun? He said, yeah. I said, did I let you shoot every ball? Please tell me I let you shoot every ball. But,
I can't wait to see Melvin and tell him that story because
he'll tell you. I didn't remember.
If a coach doesn't remember you, that means that you were not a memorable player. I got to get on about that.
How about you recruiting his son? I walk in and I'm like, oh my gosh. I told him we lost him. I called my staff. We lost him. He's done. They said, how? What happened? And I told him the story. But, Phoenix is one of those towns that it's not a huge town. It's a city, but it's a smaller city, which is interesting that you guys can all be together. And whether you're with the Cardinal, the Suns, you can be close to each other because it's not like an enormous, crazy LA or New York or Chicago. It's just not that way.
Yeah, literally lives, a mile up the street from me. So, I see him at the restaurants and all around town all the time. And I've also had some other good relationships with a couple of other UK guys. Archie Goodwin, he hasn't been with us for a few years, and very close with Eric Bledsoe when he was here. That was my man.
I love Eric. Eric hits me. He's one. When the anthem is played, when I coached him, when the anthem was played, I'd look down at him and he'd wink at me. Like, this is on, don't you worry. A big heart and competitive spirit. Hey, how about this one? There's a place, we all went to dinner. I had a bunch of the guys in Phoenix, the 44 Steakhouse.
Yeah, Steak 44.
Steak 44. Yeah. We went, they gave us a private room with the round table in the back.
Yep. Yeah. That's my spot, Coach.
What? Somebody tells me you're doing stuff. I heard they told me about it. I said, wait a minute, I've eaten in that restaurant. Matter of fact, it was a big bill. We went with a couple friends of mine, Jerry Haffey, Ambrosia. He was there with some of his boys. Okay. And then we had Devin and I think Tyler Eulis at the time was with you guys. Yep. But what are you guys doing there? Somebody told me you're out delivering food. Just curious.
Obviously the restaurant industry's been hit pretty hard, without people being able to go and dine in. But the frontline workers, the doctors and the nurses and the hospital administration, we want to do something nice for them and get them some meals because, there's a lot of these nurses that have been, quarantined even from their own family because they're around COVID-19 patients at work. They don't want to go back to their husbands and wives and their children and possibly infect them. And so, they're doing this all, without even being able to spend time with their families. And, we wanted to just honor their hard work and dedication because, there's a lot of times those workers are their faces. You don't know who they are, but they're the ones behind the scenes, slowly but surely working their tail off to get this economy going back and get people healthy.
I'm trying to tell everybody, every show, do what you can do. And what you're doing and what I'm doing may be more because we're able to do more. But just watching this helps us get the money together to give away. But help your neighbor. Start right there. Help your town. There's got to be stuff going on. Help your state, starting there. And if you can do more, do more. But the reality of it is all of us can do something.
Yeah.
And for you to do those kind of things, we got to shift a little bit. Pittsburgh.
Yes, sir.
Where did you eat in Oakland? Give me like 2 places.
I ate at the O all the time.
Hold it. The O closed down.
Just shut down. I know.
You
Coach,
knew that.
I was hoping that you and some of the other, really, really wealthy guys, would actually buy it and open it back up.
I'm very poor, but I would tell you that I would. Don't think I didn't think about. How about those French fries?
Oh man, those are some great French fries. What about the fights outside while eating the French fries?
Yeah, that's right. You jammed your hot dog in someone's face. Like,
I saw some epic battles out there outside of that place, man. Late at night, 2:00 in the morning.
So unless you're from Pittsburgh or Oakland, you wouldn't know. On the corner of the main drag through Oakland, which is where the University of Pittsburgh is, there was the O, which is a hot dog shop.
Yeah.
And you'd walk in, and these hot dogs would be lined up on this thing, and then they did French fries. You know how they did them? You saw them with the potato, whoop, shit, whoop, and then throw them into and you're getting fresh fries and hot dogs. And at 1:32 in the morning, go ahead. What was? Come on now.
Because they had little local clubs and pubs that were all around the area there. So everybody that went to pubs and bars and everything would close. Everybody would kind of congregate there at the O. And there's alcohol and there's ladies and
ladies. What are you talking about, ladies?
And testosterone. And that's a dangerous combination at 2:00 in the morning. And inevitably, always something would be jumping off. And it was always. Peter's Pub up the street. We hang out up there once in a while, and I can't remember the breakfast place we used to always go right up the street there.
We're talking in this way because I worked at the University of Pittsburgh. I was there for 3 seasons, and I loved my time. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I grew up on the other side and west side of town, Coriopolis, Moon Township, and if anybody is trying to open up the O, I think you got 2 investors right here. Us 2. We'll jump in on that. Or at least I'll buy 5 hot dogs. I'll do something.
For sure. Yin's got to do it for us.
Don't start on downtown and the creek and all the other Pittsburgh stuff. Oh, my gosh.
How
did you deal with that?
Stop jagging me around.
They're jag-offs. It's almost like a term of endearment, you jag-off. I mean, how did you start listening to people when you moved from Minnesota, which has its own dialect, compared to Pittsburgh? I'll meet you down by the creek, and if the gum band, and we'll get a pop, and all yins and that was another term. I mean, how did you even understand?
Well, I quickly learned. I got there in the summertime, and my roommate was he's from Jeanette and played at West Allegheny, Tyler Palco, and so that was my roommate. And so I quickly was immersed in the vernacular, of the Pittsburgh, speech therapy. But it was great getting to be all around the people. And the thing that makes Pittsburgh so unique is it has that Midwestern hospitality. People. Ingratiate themselves to you, invite you in their homes, help you with meals. It has that Midwestern feel, but then it also has like the East Coast, hustle and grind and the blue collar nature of it. So it was a great mix of people there. And, my 2 years there was unbelievable. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And Dr. Barber and, Pat Gallagher and Sammy D.
Don't mention Sammy D. Oh my God, you mentioned Sammy D.
Yeah, all those guys. They made my experiences that much better. Seeing them down at the basketball games and around the city, and just how passionate they were about Pitt sports. It made it great. And then when I was there, I got a chance to be around the team when they won 2 Big East championships, and Brandon Knight was there, and Julius Page, and the team was so great. We had 2 wonderful coaches there. Ben Howland, before he went to UCLA, was with us there, and then Jamie Dixon, before he went to TCU, really had the program rolling for quite a while.
And Jamie's still doing a great job. He and I are friends. Ben's in our league. He's at Mississippi State. Let me tell you, the Foge Fazio was my dad's little brother. They grew up in Coriopolis together. That's when Dan Marino, even back farther when Tony Dorsett, who was from Aliquippa, Hopewell, went to Hopewell High School, but he was from Aliquippa. And when you had all those guys there, Jackie Sherrill, there was some,
Russ Grimm, Chris Dolman, Ricky Jackson. I mean, you going on and down the list. There was some Ironhead Hayward. I mean, they were loaded back then.
I was close with Mike Godfrey. He's become a mentor of mine because I was a young coach when he was coaching football, and he and I became great friends, and he's been a mentor of mine. Let's do this. Let me shift a little bit. The NFL is I want to talk both NFL and NBA. How do we get this thing going? Because, we got to, at some point, the country's got to know we're going to be okay. And whether it's with or without fans, I don't know. I mean, how are you feeling? Let's just talk NFL first, because obviously you're still playing.
Yes, sir.
And you're going to have to walk on that field. And, how are you feeling about that stuff?
Well, I'm excited. I mean, I think our country right now, just getting the vibe, the feel when I'm out around is, people are itching for live entertainment. And I think you take for granted, how much you really appreciate and love sports when you don't have anything to watch on TV. I mean, I think everybody around the country, if you're a sports person, is just waiting for Sundays until The Last Dance comes on right now. I mean, just something that is competitive and something that you can watch that doesn't have to do with the economy or this infectious disease. It's something that's just positive, right? And sports always provided that. It didn't matter where you were from, upper class, middle class, lower class, black, white, Jewish, Catholic, Muslim. We can all appreciate the art of putting the ball in the hoop, or somebody catching a touchdown and dragging their feet in the back of the end zone. And I feel like it brought Americans together, for one common interest. And, we need it. We need sports back in our lives. And I know the NBA is working diligently to try to get it back together. And I don't know if it's going to be in Disney World or Vegas and a big hotel, but any way we can watch sports, I know, we would love it. And, for us as professional athletes, we want to be out there and play. This is something that we've dreamed about doing since we could walk, and get back out there and playing, even if it's not in front of fans. I know the fans are going to be able to watch us at home and cheer us on, and appreciate that we're out there performing and doing something they love to do and watch. And so I'm just praying that somebody will be able to kind of test the waters and get out there.
It's amazing that without fans, the TV ratings, just like you're saying, The Last Dance, the TV ratings would be literally ridiculous. Let me give you this too. What you don't realize, one, young people are watching you, and I hope a lot are watching you and how you've led your life and what you've done, and you've never, again, we're sitting here, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame here at some point, but you still have a way of, how do I give back? How do I help? I hope they're watching you, but also, how about fathers and sons, or fathers and daughters, or families that get together for that kind of experience that they talk about the rest of their lives? I remember going to games together, and that's left out of this. Baseball, we're talking about baseball. It's like, it's summer. Baseball, we know it's summer. I'm hoping they start playing, even if they do it in minor league stadiums, even without fans. Put that thing on TV. I think in World War II, President Roosevelt said, go with it, because this country needs it. In World War II, we need baseball. Yeah. It's an American pastime. We need it. And I would say the same with what you're saying, but we just want everybody to be safe. Yes. Who's leading this? Who's coming up with this? And I got to add this at this point and hear how you're talking. The one thing I think is being left out a little bit, we're talking businesses, we're talking pro teams, we got to get these grade schools, middle schools, at least those, back open. Yeah. How we do it, I don't know if if a classroom would be 4 hours and then the bus picks them up, takes one group back and the other group, so you have half of classes. I don't know if some of the classes are taught outside, that, you know, you have, instead of having 25 kids, you're going to have 11, and the teachers go from in the morning, they have a 2-hour break in the afternoon, you know, to sanitize, do whatever. It's going to be a new norm for a while until there's a vaccine, until there's better treatment. But those kids need that structure. Some of them need the lunch. Yes. Well, you don't have to have a cafeteria. Give them a box lunch to go home. I mean, I think we need to make sure that we stay focused on how do we get these young people back to normal. I mean, does that make sense?
It makes a tremendous amount of sense. I mean, we have a whole hundreds of thousands of young people that are sitting home with not a lot of things to do. And I remember my grandma used to always say, an idle mind is never good for a child. You have to continue to keep them busy, entertained, and learning, just so they're not losing out. But you touched a very valid point. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of kids that depend on those school lunches, breakfast and lunch, to be able to have those meals. And, with the food banks being depleted the way they are, I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of young people and people in general that are not eating. And, it's a sad time, Coach. And, there's so many needs and wants and not a lot of answers right now, which is the most, daunting to think about.
Yeah. And here's the other one. Okay, we get this country back to work. Well, what do we do with the kids at home? Yeah. So you go out to work, a lot of kids, their families have jobs, mm-hmm. and they go to school and they meet when it's done. I just hope we haven't lost sight of that. This is just me. I think that should be the number one thing. How do we get these kids back in school? How do we get this doing in a way that they're safe? How do we test them weekly? How do we I don't have all the answers. And like you're saying, we got things going on. It's not like I'm spending my days trying to figure it out, but someone out there has got to figure that out. I mean, I really believe it. I think what you're doing in your town, unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable. What about the NBA stuff? You have golf with Michael. How we know I've golfed with him too. We did down at Pinehurst. They do some things, and I've been there with him. But how good is he when he played with you, and how competitive is he? You're a scratch golfer.
I'm not a scratch, but I'm close. And I played with MJ probably about a month ago down at his new course down Grove 23, which is fabulous. He just opened it up and got a chance to play with him and Ahmad Rashad and Jimmy Dunn down there at his golf course, and it was in immaculate shape. And what you see on The Last Dance in terms of his competitive fire and nature, he was battling a little bit of a wrist issue and some arthritis in his hand, and he was hurting, but he could literally not get out of that cart. He had to compete. Like it is in his DNA. No matter what, if guys are out there playing, I want to be a part of it. And not only do I want to be a part of it, but I want to kick your butt while I'm out there doing it. And that fire still burns in him. And I love going out there and seeing that and competing with him, and obviously getting a chance to pick his mind and talk to him about things that he's doing in business and decisions that he makes as a team owner, and just all the plethora of things he has going on. And anytime I'm around him, I always walk away like a much better person because I've learned a tremendous amount.
What are you taking from The Last Dance? I'm having all my players who are coming in, mm-hmm. watch this. Mm-hmm. Winning matters.
Yes, sir. Winning matters.
It's not exchanging basketball, mm-hmm. or exchanging baskets. It's not exchanging touchdowns. Yeah. Like to him, it was, I'm dominating somebody.
There's a couple key things that I really took from it, right? The first one was his rookie year when he went in and they were talking about the drug use and all of that stuff, and how, at 20 years old or 21 years old, how impressionable young people are. How easy it is to see all these guys that you look up to doing something that is not right, and how easy it is for you to follow in those guys' footsteps, as opposed to being your own man and saying, you know what, that's not my lane. I don't think that's the best thing for me. I'm going to do it this way. So establishing the culture. And then when Scottie Pippen was drafted, how he, took him under his wing immediately. Like, I see something special in this guy. how can I get the very best out of him? Because I know if I can get the best out of him, then that's going to trickle on down. The work ethic, I've seen all those guys in the gym lifting weights when they weren't lifting weights. It's about setting the culture. And you saw that when you got to Kentucky and every other program you've been to. It's about building the culture, finding guys who understand what is important, how you have to work about it, and how to be in a leadership position. So those are the things I've really taken from it, and I've enjoyed watching it.
You know, the thing you just said about the culture, when I went to UMass, it was the fifth losingest program of the decade of the 80s. So there were only 5 losing. There's 300, at that time, 310 Division I programs. And what I decided to do is recruit kids off of state championship or state runner-up teams. Got the job late, you know, Jimmy McCoy, Anton Brown. We brought in guys, Will Herndon, then it was Tony Barbie and Harper Williams, even Kennard Robinson. We brought in a bunch of kids that only knew winning because the kids in the program only knew losing. Yeah. And so I needed that to be one, to win, you got to sacrifice. I mean, what you're doing now, and I've seen your comments, you wanted another star in Phoenix. Yeah. And even though he was a wide receiver, you're fine. This is going to make me even better because you know you guys have a better chance of winning and getting to the Super Bowl with him than not him. Yeah. And you're like for it. Why don't you talk about how you look at that kind of stuff? I mean, tell me, you know, what you're feeling now.
Well, I mean, I think in basketball, it's a lot more difficult. I mean, I think you see it all the time. You're going out and you're recruiting these 5-star kids, and these kids are all great players, right? But once you get into the team confines, the cream rises to the top, right? And there's guys that have to play role positions that are not accustomed to playing role positions. There's guys that have to rebound and defend when they were never asked to do that. And it's about gelling and building the right nucleus of players to be able to have you have successes. No different than your team when you had the 2 platoons, Coach. When you had
don't remind me of the 2 platoons.
You had 10 guys that were NBA quality talent players that could have started on any program in the entire nation, but you got them to buy in to, hey, this is not about one individual guy. Everybody's going to get paid. Everybody's going to get drafted, but let's collectively be on the same accord to go out there and compete for a championship. And that's very difficult to do. Even more difficult to do with college guys like you were able to do it, but to do it with professionals is very difficult. And, you know, for us to be able to have the opportunity to get DeAndre Hopkins, a 3-time All-Pro, most prolific receiver in the last, 7 years in the NFL, I understood that if we want to go to the next level, you have to bring in guys like that who can go out there and play. And the way he works, the way he competes, what he's done is only going to make everybody around him better. And I'm not naive to that. That's going into my 17th year. The hourglass is turned over me. I'm coming down the back 9 stretch, and I don't have many more games left in me. And I know that, we need as many hands on deck as we possibly can, because it's no easy way to get it.
But the reason your team is going to be that way, it's because you're that way. I got to give you Eric Bledsoe, one of the great kids I've ever coached. I say kids, now he's a grown man with kids. And I asked him about John Wall. Like, I had John Wall and Eric Bledsoe on the same team, and they were 2 peas in a pod, never left each other's side. It was amazing. But I said to Eric one day, how fast is John? He goes, Coach, he is so fast. Yeah. And I go, he's faster than you? Oh, no, he's not faster than me, but he's really fast. Yeah. The team that you're talking about, the platoon teams, that team, it wasn't by design. I can remember Kenny Payne and I getting on a plane, and the Twins call us and say they're coming back. We thought they were leaving. We'd just been to a Final Four. Yeah, they're leaving. Willie Cauley, Coach, I'm coming back. What? You're a top 20 pick. Yeah. I'm not ready. I want to come back. I got things I got to do. Then Alex Portras, same thing. So we have what you just said. I have 10 players that are all deserving to play. What do I do? Play 7 or 8? If I only played 7 or 8, the guys left out may have been Tyler, Trey. Yeah. It could have been Carl Towns, because the guys in front of Carl were more veterans. At the end of the day, Carl and Devin would have done it. But the start of the year, if I'm playing 7 guys, they worked their way into being what they were. It was funny. Melvin thought Devin would be there for 3 years, and that worried him. Like, Cal, I keep putting my hands on the table, so I'm shaking a little bit, but what will you do? I said, I'll be happy as hell. I'll get him for 3 years. Are you crazy? And so after the first month, I called Melvin and said, Melvin, the NBA has been in here every day for the last 10 days. Your son is going to leave after this year. He said, you're kidding me. No, he's gone. We knew early that he was that good, but everybody had to accept the fact that everyone needed to eat.
Yes.
And Karl Towns only played 21 minutes, so Dakari could play 19.
Yeah.
Karl could have said, I want to play all these minutes. Or Devin and Tyler, who were really good. The twins were really good too. You had to keep the twins together, which meant Tyler and Devin were like 2 brothers. How do you do it? It was the only way we can figure out. Now, here's what comes out of it. You do it for the right reason. No good deed goes unpunished. Yes, so now they used it in recruiting. Do you really want to go there and play 21 minutes? It was not by design. We weren't trying to get 10 guys. And then guys like Devin and some guys, they may feel slighted. At the end of the day, I hope they can all look back on that and say, we all sacrificed for each other. And guess what? Like 9 of us made it to the league out of the 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it ended up being all right, but it was hard for us coaches,
Mm-hmm.
and it was hard for players. So I understand, but a guy like you in Phoenix, that's why it's going to work. When they look and say, Larry is good with this, and he's the same position as Larry, we're all good. Let's go. If this guy's a star, be a star.
And I think that's a good place to pause really quick there, Larry and Coach, for everybody listening. We just want to remind folks out there, Coffee with Cal would not be possible without the friends at Custom Bite. They continue to make an impact for COVID relief with each purchase. I've been using mine, and it's fantastic. $10 from there it is. $10 from every one of those products purchased through Coffee with Cal will be donated to the Cal Foundation. So quick pivot here, Larry. I want to ask you, as we talk about relationships that Coach Cal was just mentioning, a unique relationship you share is with your head coach, Kliff Kingsbury. He's 40 years old. You're 36 years old. You've achieved a great deal. You have a swagger in your own right, being a future Hall of Famer. He has some swagger himself, as we saw with draft night, sitting there in his nice little pad leaned up. People call him a ladies' man because of how he looks. What is that dynamic with the two of you guys, and how's that relationship flourished?
Well, first of all, he's a wonderful human being. It's very easy to be around. He's trustworthy. He's accountable. When he tells you something, he means it. He never sugarcoats things. So he's going to tell you exactly how it's meant to be told. And, going to work for him every day, he's innovative. The thing that I was really blown away by is how receptive he is to the information, right? And I come to him, Coach, look, man, we played against him last year. This guy, we were able to get him on a couple of these. He's like, you know what, Fitz, I really like that. I saw that actually as well, but I'm glad you reminded me. I'll make sure I address it, and if he doesn't have it, like, the thing that drives me crazy, when you ask a coach, he doesn't necessarily have the answer, but he gives you an answer because he thinks he needs to give you. Kliff's not like that. Kliff will, you know what? Give me a moment to think about that. He'll write it down and he'll get back to you in an hour, text you back or call you back or see you at practice the next day. Fitz, I got an answer for you, because he cares. He doesn't want to tell you something that's not factual. And he takes a lot of pride in his work. I mean, the guy's in the building every morning at 4 a.m, leaves the building at 11. I mean, he really, really works his tail off. And I mean, it's a lot of fun to play for somebody who cares that much and that brings that much energy and charisma to work daily.
I used to be young too, Fitz. You know that? I used to be young.
You're still young, Coach. You're still young. Coach, I got a question for you, though.
Go ahead.
How much do you think it will affect the college recruiting landscape with the G League now able to take players in? I mean, I've seen it already. There's 3 guys. The number 1 rated point guard from California has been committed to UCLA for the last 13 months. Decided he's going to go to G League. Now, how much do you think that's going to affect the landscape of recruiting?
Well, first of all, players in high school were always able to go to the G League.
Mm-hmm.
They were, for the last few years, they could have chosen to go. What changed is the NBA came in and said, let's build one team that's separated from the G League. and let's pay those guys money. And I never begrudge any player making money. I'm never doing that. But now we're going to kind of encourage or entice them to go to this versus the college route. The only issue I think kids should go directly out of high school to the NBA. You and I know there are not going to be that many that are going to be ready out of high school. Yeah. And it may be a small handful, in some years none, in some years a little bit more. But the way it is now that they have to go to college for a year, my issue is this. What all these colleges have done with this admission standards rising to be eligible, all these kids as 9th and 10th and 11th graders understand I've got to meet these academic requirements to even be able to get into a university and do this. Mm-hmm. In the last few years, we've had the highest graduation rate in men's basketball of African Americans in the history of our sport. Is it telling 9th and 10th and 11th graders, forget about academics. Why don't you just come to the G League? You become professional. You and I know, let's just say they pay them $400,000. Do they pay tax on that?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you're 18. Is your family going to move with you? Probably. Where are they doing this? Are you going to be with 10 guys together that, there's so many question marks I worry about. If a kid goes with us, he gets a lifetime scholarship. They'll maybe say, we'll pay for a scholarship like minor league baseball if you don't make it. The problem is, what school can you get into if as a 9th, 10th, and 11th grader, you weren't worried about academics? Yeah. Where are you going to go junior college? How is that kind of playing out? But I'm going to say this again. I don't begrudge any family that has an opportunity to make some money when they don't have any to do it. I only say when they start now with name, image, and likeness, the opportunity to build your brand, to get a lifetime education, to be insured against injury, I just say there are two options. And how are we doing this? I think agents will get involved. They're not involved right now in the G League stuff, but I think they will. But here's what I would say about Kentucky. Larry, whatever they do, we'll be fine. And whether I'm coaching here or not, it's Kentucky. Yeah. And so I'd say this, it makes people mad. Kentucky will eat first. Whatever you're doing, we'll figure it out. And I just hope I'm leery of what we're saying about academics. And if we talk demographics and 30 kids, the top 30 are going to go to the G League. What's the demographic of that kid, Larry?
We know what the demographic of that kid is.
Okay, so now you and I, did you go back and finish your degree?
Yes, sir.
I mean, here you are, you didn't have to. There it is right there. You didn't have to. Who told you that you better get your degree?
Well, I made a promise to my mother that no matter what, I was going to get it. So I came out as a sophomore, and then I went to play in the league for about 5 years. And then I started going back to classes to finish it up. And something that I really wanted to do, something I needed to do. Now, when I talk to my boys, it's not like I'm talking at them. I'm talking from a place of experience. I know what it's like. I know what I had to do. I know the requirement that I had to put into it. So I want you guys to be able to do the same thing. And you can do it all while achieving your goal.
Yeah, and we have John Walls started back. Julius Randle has started back. Dakari Johnson has started back. I'm talking guys that have left here. Brandon Knight graduated from Pinecrest High School in Florida, has 60 college credits. He was here 1 year. So we've got, when they say, well, who comes back? They do, just like you did. Yeah. Most of them have committed to their mothers or their families. Even if I leave early, I'll come back and finish up. And that's the kind of, I just don't want to get away. I'm living this life. I'm in the homes. I'm not sitting up here looking down, making proclamations. I'm hearing dreams and aspirations for families and what they're trying to do. Many of them, I get it. I'm in that green room. It's generational poverty. Not everyone, but a number of them. And this is their chance. And I just think, again, let's not diminish what we do. Here's my other thing. just me, what we do for the NBA to prepare these kids, to help them brand themselves, social media, and all the stuff we're doing, how much does the NBA pay for that?
I'm not certain. Zero.
Now, why would you pay for that when we're doing that for nothing? Unless, like, they'll say, well, the kids that have gone over to Europe, there's only been like 3, 4. And I still want to see the next one do well, because they haven't.
Mhm.
They haven't made it. Maybe they went there and, I don't know. But they may make it there. But, I don't begrudge them. Let's see how it plays out. But I don't believe it's going to hurt us. I don't really believe it'll hurt college basketball. I just don't want it to hurt kids and families who need education more than anything else. Because if they end up in the court system, what? Ain't going to be good.
No.
If you end up in an area, well, what am I going to do without my degree? How am I going to work? What am I going to do? Let's not go down that road. That's my only concern.
No.
I don't know if that answers it for you, but
And
I know there are some that are afraid of it. I'm not afraid for me, and I'm like you. I'm on that down. I'm on the down. I'm going this way now, so I'm okay with it. It's not going to affect me, but I don't want to look 10 years from now and have thousands upon thousands of kids that could have had a college degree, because everyone we recruit thinks they're one and done. They all do.
Sure.
And not just mine, everybody. Why? I thought I was one and done. They end up staying in school longer than they think. And guess what? Jays, they get a college degree. Isn't that awful? I mean, that's a big part of it for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think another fair question is, as we're moving the conversation along, and Coach, we were talking about this before Larry jumped on, knowing the level of achievement he's at, but in looking at him, he can play for another 5-6 seasons, it feels like. He signed on for another year with the Arizona Cardinals team because there's a lot of optimism ahead. I saw you shake your head, though.
Here's what I would say, Larry. This is what you got to tell the young athletes. How have you kept your body? Because that's why you're able to play. I bet you do a lot of stretching. I don't know that, but if you're playing golf, that means you're stretching, you're doing stuff too. How far do you hit a golf ball? Just let me know.
Depends on what club I'm hitting, Coach.
All right, let's talk driving. How far you hit it?
I hit about a 310 carry normally when I'm swinging it at my normal.
Okay, so tell us how you're staying in shape. And it's not been this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, well, I stay.
This is your regimen. Tell these young athletes, what do you do?
Well, I think it's important to find somebody you really trust as in terms of a trainer. I've had this, pretty much the same guys working with me year in and year out. They're honest in terms of their feedback. I always tell people there's a difference between training and being trained, right? And having somebody who, knows their trade craft, understands what your body needs, understands where you need to be in terms of preparation for the season really helps me out a tremendous amount. And making sure I'm getting to bed. I think it's so underrated how much sleep you should be getting a day. Your body is the best healer of itself. I try to get 8 to 9 hours every single night. I don't drink any sugary drinks. I drink water pretty much only, and I try to eat pretty clean. And doing those things and putting the work in is really helped me kind of be able to sustain over the years.
And now you've done that for how long?
At least 12 years. At least 12 years.
Early on, you didn't think you needed it. I'll be fine.
I was out eating Pizza Hut and Burger King and, doing like everybody else is doing, staying out too late at the clubs, enjoying the festivities. Now
you were at the O having the dogs, the sausage, and the fries. Yeah. All right, let me I want to switch this just a bit. You travel. Mm-hmm. Give us the best 3 places you visit. Like, you go around the world. I don't know. You have a curious mind, I gather, which you want to learn. When you go somewhere, you're trying to see something and learn about something. Give me the top 3. Let the people know that.
Well, I would say Israel, the West Bank is really high on the list because, you get a chance to go walk the same paths that Jesus Christ has walked and swim in the Dead Sea and like some of those really cool experiences. Australia, I always have a great time there. They have wonderful golf courses. The people are fantastic. We usually go around mid-January during the Australian Open tennis tournament. And then I would say I really enjoy Peru too. Going down to Machu Picchu and being able to see some of the unbelievable natural history of that country has been great. I'm a history guy. I love going to the pyramids or the Great Wall in China, places like that have stood the test of time and intrigue human and defy logic in terms of building structures that are still standing thousands of years later. So those type of things really fascinate me.
Yeah, Italy is, and we went this past year, and the same deal. I want to know where did El Duce, where did he give that speech? Let me see that building. I was in Berlin. We were watching. It was Michael Kidd-Gilchrist playing for the USA Basketball. They were playing, I believe, in Hamburg, but we took a car to Berlin to see. I wanted to see where's that bunker. Where was he? We went to, the Brandenburg Gates and all that. I'm the history guy too. And World War II is kind of, one of the things I enjoy, but we're going to be hamstrung a little bit on the travel for the time being.
Sure.
And we were planning on a game in London. We're trying to figure out if that's going to be able to happen. We're walking through that right now. Because I'd really like to meet the Queen. Have you ever met the Queen?
No, I've been in close proximity, but I never got a chance to meet her.
Oh, I got to meet the Queen. The other one is, we went when I was in Italy. I was trying to get the Pope has a private mass that he gives where there'd be 20 people.
Oh, wow.
And we had to leave. We were trying to get there because and Jim Harbaugh met the Pope and gave him and so then I'm like, I got to meet the Pope. If Jim can meet the Pope, I'm meeting the Pope. I'm Catholic. So, how's your dad doing?
My dad's doing well. He's still in Minneapolis, still working, still doing all of his normal activities, but he's, kind of hunkered down up there. He had a little heart issue about 2 years ago. So he's, just taking it easy, trying to keep himself safe.
The last thing for me, we both played with somebody that, we were talking, where did you play with President Obama? Where I was out at Martha's Vineyard with him. I spent 4 hours in a cart with him. And I would tell you, one, he's the real deal, and he played pretty good. I'll just tell you, I won't tell anybody else. He shot an 80 the day he played with me, but don't tell anybody. But that's what he shot. And let me just say this. You can tell me I asked him a question. I said, Mr. President, do you miss making decisions? And he thought about it and he said, I do. I really do. But I miss my team. Because he had a heck of a team around him, and they were there for 8 years, most of them. And I think what he would be doing in this environment, and this is not to take away from President Trump or anything else, but the time I spent with him and what I got to, because I asked him questions, he was asking me, he knew about my team. He's a basketball junkie. He told me about the last time he played ball. He doesn't play anymore. But did you enjoy your time with him?
I absolutely enjoyed my time with him. We played down in Florida, the Seminole Golf Club.
Did they have to close down the golf club?
No, they didn't. He had probably about 6 or 8 security, detail, Secret Service guys on him, and then he had some of the Palm Beach police that were kind of around too. But it really wasn't, like a huge amount. But he was such a down-to-earth, easygoing, and every single person in the group, was in a kind of a different, working environment, and how he could just seamlessly transition from conversation to conversation without missing a beat was really, really intriguing to see. And you could see why he did so well as a president of our country, because he has this unique ability to make anybody he's talking to feel like you're the only person in the world that matters to him at that time. And it's one of those moments that I'll never forget. And I really enjoyed it. And I actually had a hole-in-one while I was with him, too.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I made a hole-in-one with him.
Tell us about it. What was it? What hole? What club did you use?
I was on number 13. I hit an 8-iron, about 170 yards. And
you hit an 8-iron, 170? Had to be downhill with the wind to your back. Come on, man.
No wind, Coach. No wind. I was blown away. I was blown away. Actually,
let me ask you the first
14,
hole.
14. I'm sorry.
When you teed off, was there everybody watching you guys tee off?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people out there.
Okay, they were there, right?
He drove his right down the fairway, and I drove mine right down the fairway.
Well, let me tell you mine. So they're on the balcony, right? And they're there, and he hits, and his nephew, or Valerie Jarrett's nephew, hits. My partner, or not my partner, Robert Wolf was with us. He hits. And then I got a hit, and I don't know everybody's watching. So I get over the ball, and they tell me, you'll be all right. And then I look, and they're all up there watching, taking pictures, and I had to hit that ball. Yeah. And I am not a scratch golfer. So you know what I did.
So did you hit it left of the big dune in the middle on number 1 there?
I hit that son of a beast 220 right down the middle. I smacked it. That's what I did. So just the next hole, I hooked it into the woods a little bit. And the president yells, 4. I'm like, 4? There's no one in there. And 2 security. So, they come out of the woods. So he knew where people were. We had 4 guys around us when we played. Okay. 2 behind us, 2 with us. 2 out in front, and they had 2 around the water. So I was like, wow. But I had a ball with them. Larry, let me just tell you, I got to thank you for doing this. Thank you for being who you are. You've never changed. Showing people to get involved wherever you can. Helping us do this, which is helping us grab all kind of people that we can to do more. What you are as a role model for young people. What you continue to do each year you're with Phoenix helps Phoenix, because all those young guys can look at you and say, I wonder if I can stay like this for this long. And then not only that, know where you're about to be headed. I think they make you wait 5 years, and everybody knows it, and they see what you are. Crazy what you do for that organization. And now here comes another star. And you're like, I love it. It's going to make me better, make us better. It's going to make us all better, which tells you, whoa, wait a minute. And then I'll say this, the relationship you have with your coach, if he can't coach his best players, he ain't not coaching anybody. And to have you, the best players that I've had have all been coachable. I've been blessed that way. Mm-hmm. Your coach has been blessed. So just again, thanks for doing this for us. Thanks for spending time. I'm here. You've helped mine, which means I'm here for you in any way I can, and continue to help Book out there, because he's just touched where he's really going to be.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Coach, it's great to be with you, and it's always wonderful to see you. Last time you didn't have nearly as much gray in your beard. But it's wonderful to be with you, and I appreciate you having me, and I hope you and your family are doing outstanding. I look forward to seeing you in the near future.
Thanks. You be safe.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Fitz.